Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Claudio Grass, and I'm the Managing Director of Global Gold in Switzerland. Pericles once said, "We can't predict the future, but we can prepare for it." So we at Global Gold use history as our guide, an independent mind, and we also question certain dogmas which have been hammered into us by the public schools, the authorities, and even the mass media. We believe that the driving forces of a sound economy are savings and investments, and not consumption and debt. Therefore, we are also convinced that the actual system is going to crash, as it always happened many times in history already. So the question is not if, but when. And we also are convinced that gold has been money for 5,000 years. It will be money for the next few thousand years at least. And we look at it as our monetary insurance against all these uncertainties in the actual paper money system. So that's why I would like to introduce to you Global Gold offers the highest possible safety and comfort, even in and particularly during a crisis scenario. So the world as we see it, things only look great from the surface. The current monetary and financial experiment is bigger than anything before in history. We never had a universal acceptance of fiat currencies for such a long time. We had some paper money in the past, but it used to be always a property title for a certain amount of gold. Today, it's just a debt security. We are also witnessing that the debt levels are at historical records, and governments and central banks want us to believe that we can fight over indebtedness by even adding more debt. We think this is not working. So additional liquidity, additional debt basically only lead to distorted financial markets. And the more and longer it goes, the bigger the bubble becomes, and the bigger and harder the correction will occur when it goes bust. So we cannot see any signs of a real economy recovery. Let's just look at the United States. We have 50 million people living off food vouchers. When we look at the unemployment rate calculated by the government, used back in 1980, the unemployment rate stands at 23% and not 5.5. That's what they are at least telling us. And the same goes for Europe. In Europe, we are losing a whole generation because when we look at the unemployment rate amongst the youths, it's between 30 and 60%. And do you see, we cannot see hardly any GDP growth in the Western world. So we believe that markets are more powerful than governments. Governments can prolong it for a certain while, but markets will always win. And we also believe that physical gold is the antidote against the ongoing global debt crisis. So this is the key issue, ladies and gentlemen. So this slide shows you, in blue, the current liabilities in percentage of GDP, and in the red bars represent the unfunded liabilities in percentage of GDP. So the blue bar, that's the one communicated in the newspapers, and the red bar, that's representing all promises made by the government in terms of social security, healthcare, Medicare, and it just shows, it's much, much higher than the official debt. Professor Kotlikoff of the Boston University came out last year with a study saying that the unfunded liabilities of the United States are amounting to 220 trillion. The official government debt at the moment is 17.8 trillion, and the unfunded is 13 times bigger than the official debt. So, we are convinced, this is a gigantic bubble, and we added so much debt that this is not sustainable, because at the end of the day, that always needs to be paid or to be written off. So we believe it's important for you not to rely on government promises, but you have to think about how to protect yourself and your family against this unsustainable solution. So gold is your insurance. It's your hedge against this crazy paper money system based on that. JP Morgan once said, gold is money, everything else is credit. I mean, I don't adore Mr. Morgan, but at least when it comes to that statement, I fully agree with him. So let's just have a look, how much gold you were able to purchase back in 1972. With $100,000, you were able to buy 1,724 ounces of gold. So that would represent today, these ounces are worth a bit more than $2 million. So this just shows you, I mean, gold is also a store of value. If you would buy today with $100,000 physical gold, you can buy 85 ounces of gold. But now, I mean, gold acts as money, and gold is money. And so now the question is, is it in a bubble? So I mean, this slide shows you US debt and debt limit versus gold. The red line is the debt, the black one represents the US debt limit, and the golden line is, of course, the price of gold. So, governments and central banks are telling us that gold has no monetary function anymore. But when you look at this, I mean, you can see the correlation is there, and gold acts as money. The more debt, the higher the price of gold. So we can also see that in 2013, when gold came down from $1,900 an ounce down to $1,200 at the moment, the correction is much harder, and we also understand that in the actual system, governments have a possibility, and central banks, to keep the price of gold artificially lower. But they can do it for a certain while, but in the long run, gold will close that gap in the future. And so that's why we also believe gold is not in a bubble at all. And when you can buy now gold at $1,200, we consider it as a buying opportunity. So what does Global Gold offer? Let me give you some background information. I mean, how Global Gold came into existence. Our mother company, BFI Capital, had some clients back in 2000, 2006, which always looked at physical gold as their monetary insurance, but they couldn't find the rock-solid solution, which was also addressing the little details which will make a big difference in a harsh crisis scenario, because they had to store the metals within the banking system, or they were only able to buy, 400-ounce fractions of 400-ounce bars, and so on. And so they helped us in bringing up, the solution of Global Gold. And let me talk about the details, which we believe will make a big difference. So we are offering a safe, convenient, and efficient way to buy, store, sell, and or deliver allocated bullion gold, silver, platinum, and palladium bars and coins in Switzerland, Hong Kong, and or Singapore. So safety, that's the key, because all the services are geared to achieve the highest possible safety for you as our client. So when you buy gold through Global Gold, you are always the direct and unencumbered owner of the metals. The metals are not part of our balance sheet. The metals are fully yours and only yours. We buy metals in the format of your choice, and we store it 100%. So when we buy on behalf of you coins or bars, you can be sure that we go out into the market and we buy the 10 maple leaves and we store the 10 maple leaves. Same goes for bars. So 100% physically allocated. No paper claim, no fraction of a big bar. We only work with the most liquid international coins, bars sourced from the leading mints and LBMA refineries. So when it comes to coins, you can buy the Maples, the Krugers, the Philharmonicas, the Australian Nugget. So we don't try to sell you numismatic or funny coins, special editions, and so on. What we try is really to get the most liquid and recognized format for you, to get as much gold for the lowest possible price. When it comes to the refineries, we only work with the 4 certified LBMA refineries over here in Switzerland, which have the highest reputation in the market. So there we also have a close chain of integrity to assure that, you know, we always get the gold directly from the mints, from the refineries. We have several storage solutions. I only would like to introduce you the 2 most important one. The first one, the basic solution, is the standard allocated solution, which basically stands for collective storage. So let's say when you buy a 1 kilobar of bar, and we have 9 other clients with 1 kilobar of gold, then we store 10 kilobars on the same pallet. And the same goes for the coins. 10 times 10 coins for 10 different clients, and we store 100 coins in the same box altogether. So that's the basic solution, but we are also offering a segregated box storage, so that when you buy 10 coins, that we, you know, go in the market, we buy the coins, and we put exactly those 10 coins into that box with your client code. So they're fully segregated from all the other metals, and, you know, when it comes to bars, you will always receive a list with the serial numbers of the bars. So we store in Switzerland, Hong Kong, and or Singapore, always, you know, in private, AAA, high security storage locations. So we really have chosen, you know, what we consider the best partners in the market, with a clear and dedicated security setup to assure that, you know, the metals are as safe as possible. And these partners, they are also specialized in logistics. So I mean, we believe that one fine day we have to deliver a lot of metals to clients, so we can be sure that we have the right partners which can help us then in achieving that kind of job. The metals are fully insured and audited. When it comes to the insurance, it's quite unique, but we have an insurance which is covering the replacement value. So let's say 10 coins getting stolen, then, you know, the insurance is covering and will pay, you know, will deliver the 10 coins. So this is quite something special. And audited, you know, we do a monthly audit. We even have, you know, whenever we receive bars, we do an audit also at that time. But we do an internal monthly audit, and we also do one physical audit with Ernst & Young at the moment, where we go into the vault once a year and we count every single bar, every single coin, to assure that 100% of the metals are there and covered. So we are free of cash settlement clause and the like. Cash settlement clause means if you see something like that in the terms and conditions, you can be sure that then that company has the possibility to pay you out in cash in a crisis scenario and not to deliver the physical metals. And I think that's exactly not why you are buying metals, you know. So you don't want to have cash, you want to have the physical metals. And so, you know, we don't have these kind of clauses, so we don't have a cash settlement clause or any other sorts of restrictions which might have an impact when you ask, you know, for physical delivery or you want to pick it up, even when we are in a harsh crisis scenario. So no cash settlement clause when you're dealing with global gold. And the way we are operating as a company, I think it's the most traditional way how to work. We don't hedge, we're not allowed to pledge, we don't pre-finance, and we don't not even have our own stock. So, you know, this business model assures that we keep the risk for global gold itself as low and as little as possible. Convenience is next. Pickup and deliveries at any time possible. What we usually tell our clients is, you know, if you want to pick up metals, give us an information 48 hours in advance, so that we can prepare, you know, the security process at the storage facility, because then we would have, you know, to send them the passport, a copy of your passport, so that they can identify you when you are picking up the metals. Any transaction can be executed without personal presence, and I think when it comes to that, extremely important is the way you can communicate with us and also the way we are functioning. You know, we are not an online program, we're not an online service, we don't allow online trading, because our solution must work, you know, when the harsh crisis scenario is coming. And we don't know if the internet will be available at that time. So that's why we are operating in the old-fashioned way. So you have, you know, forms, you can fill out for any transaction, you have to fill in the form, you have to sign it, and then you can scan it, you can send it as a PDF via email, but you can also, fax it, and we believe, even if the internet is down, most likely the telephone system is going to work, so we have, fax, or you can send it via postal mail. So very straightforward in the old-fashioned way. This is something quite unique. In-kind transfers are possible. So this means when you store your own physical metals, let's say in the United States, and now you believe that, Roosevelt confiscated gold back in 1933. So, they have done it once. Why shouldn't they do it, another time? So, and now you want to move your metals over to Global Gold. We can do it. We have a dedicated process to do that. So that's also a possibility. Efficiency too. We have a fair and transparent product pricing. So with Global Gold, you will always receive a transaction confirmation, which shows you in detail how much we had to pay for the product itself, how much our brokerage fee was, for the service itself. So fully transparent, and I think that's an important point today as well. And we buy at institutional levels, so the premiums we have negotiated with our partners are extremely attractive and highly competitive. There is no VAT. This is an important point, especially when you're invested, let's say, in silver. There is no VAT on gold anyway in Switzerland, but let's assume you want to buy physical silver and you want to sell it also in the future. You can do that with Global Gold without paying VAT. Because as long, our storage facilities are all located in a tax-free zone, so we can buy, sell at any time on behalf of you, no VAT, and the only time you have to pay VAT is when the metals are leaving physically our storage facility. So let's say in Switzerland you have 8% on silver, so if you would tell us, listen Claudia, I will come and pick up the metals, then you would have to pay the VAT before you pick them up. Which would be 8% at the moment in Switzerland, and if we have to deliver it somewhere on this planet, then the local VAT regime would kick in. And last but not least, but I think the two most important points from my perspective, we are storing outside the banking system. I just want to underline that again because we believe that in the next crisis the banking system will be heavily involved, and so we don't want to store within the banking system. I think that's a potential threat. And we store under Swiss legislation. So Global Gold is operating under Swiss law. Why is it so important? When you look at this planet, I consider Switzerland the last bastion of liberty and freedom. Why? Because we are the last remaining direct democracy on this planet, and we still have federalistic structures in place which are limiting the power of the politicians. So whatever happens in Switzerland, politicians cannot come up with a new law or a rule. So because the Swiss people, they can always go against that by gathering 100,000 signatories, and then they have to bring that law in front of the people, and the people can decide. So the good stuff is it's limiting the power of the politicians, and at the same time everything takes time in Switzerland. So nothing is possible that they can confiscate in terms of property rights, stuff like this, within a very short period of time. We will always see what's happening, and we always see in advance if something is changing, which might be a potential threat for property rights and for the holdings and metals of our clients. So that's it for the moment. I would like to thank you very much for your attention. I'm going to organize a webinar in the coming days, and you can also sign up after that presentation in a few seconds. And in that webinar, if you are interested, I'm going to talk about the forms we are using, how to fill them in, how to become a client of Global Gold, what the fee structure is, and how our processes work in detail. So if you are interested in hearing more about the important details, just sign up, and it would be a pleasure to see you during my next webinar. And in the meantime, I wish you all the very best. And this is, our company statement. We protecting and growing what is rightfully yours. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Bye-bye.